Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another AI talk. The fact that you're all here suggests you're not fed up with them yet, so hopefully I can bring some clarity and insights over the next half an hour. So who's this guy and why is he here? So I'm Matt and I head up the wonderful team at Sherwen. We've been in retail for nearly 3 decades now. Things back then did look a lot different. I did have a full head of hair. So these days you can call us a digital transformation automation AI company on top of the e-commerce that we've worked with for many years. So let's get going. Now there's 3 certainties in the room today. The fact that you are attending another AI talk means that you're thinking about AI. It's impossible not to. It's across the hall, it's in the news, it's on your devices. For some of you, even in your dreams. You've all tried it. I guarantee you've all got ChatGPT on your phone, subconsciously used it within Google. In the interactions you're having with brands, AI is likely there. You've probably experimented with it in many ways. Using it to summarize articles of data, generate images, put hats on cats. And the likelihood is that it didn't meet your expectations. For a long time myself, I find it quite frustrating. Often for me to execute a task can be a lot quicker than without AI. And there's also a fourth. Now, you are all attending my first talk. You might detect a little bit of nervousness. The last talk I did was 15 years ago at my own wedding. We are still married, so it can't have been that bad. So yeah, I'm quite comfortable in a boardroom, but this is absolutely terrifying. So please bear with me, and I'll try and do the best, okay? So today we're going to talk about why your AI project is likely to fail. There's a big number there on the screen. That's from the MIT report a few months ago. Like most of you, I don't believe everything that I read in the headlines. It was quite a catchy number. Reading between the lines, not everything as it seems. But we can't ignore that. There is still, regardless of the percentage that's floating around, a high likelihood that your implementation, your experimentation, your full adoption is not going to deliver the outcomes that you're expecting. I know from our own internally, we have a lot of trial and error personally as well. So how do you navigate that? Now, to help us along the way, I'm going to introduce you to someone, maybe relatable to some of you. So Bob is going to be our study today. He is head of e-commerce at a fastener supplier. I'll apologize if there's any Bobs or any heads of e-commerce. It's going to be quite a rough ride. To set the scene, let's add some detail. So they sell directly to consumer or tradespeople. Most of it's online through Shopify. Let's give them a turnover of under 10 million. Bob reports directly to his CEO. The business themselves, they've invested in ERP, various other platforms, okay? Now, before we proceed, this is totally fictitious. Funny story, did realize a company I mentioned existed this morning, so I had to quickly change it. But it's totally fictitious, a little bit blown out, but we are unfortunately seeing a lot of what you're going to see now, okay? So, cold, damp Friday afternoon. Bob soldiered through the Monday trading updates, the Tuesday campaign planning, feature release Wednesday, and he's ready for a peak weekend. Finally gets to sit down and drink a tea hot. And his boss, a meeting pops up into the calendar. His boss wants to speak to him. So he heads to the office. Bob, have you seen ChatGPT? We have to use AI, Bob. Make it happen. Now, Bob's used to these conversations with his boss, lots of ideas, turns a blind eye. But unfortunately, a week later, separate meeting, Bob's boss, are we using AI now? Even more determined. You'll notice the panic look in Bob's face there. It's time to do something about it. Now, oh, 1 second, sorry. Feeling panicked and under pressure, by complete coincidence, Bob receives a cold call the next day. We can all relate to this. I know I personally receive a lot of them. Who is it? Well, it's an account exec at Price Monkey AI. Price Monkey AI is a piece of AI SaaS that they assure Bob will automate all of his pricing. Keep them on top of their competitors. Fully integrates with Shopify for the grand old price of $299 a month. Okay. Bob thinks about it for a short moment, and a few days later decides to push the button. Few clicks and a credit card. Pricing Monkey is now connected to Shopify. The AE called was happily rubbing his hands. Bob felt relieved. Not everyone was happy, however. Susan in merchandising our product was less happy that her role was about to be automated, but it was out of her control. Most importantly, Bob's boss was happy. AI was being used. It was going to save a lot of time. We're now an AI-driven company. Okay? All was well until it wasn't. Okay. A few days later, Bob gets a call from a very angry Susan. Bob, I'm snowed under here. Orders are failing into our ERP. What's happening? Turns out the excitement to use AI, all the unsung heroes behind the scenes have been forgotten. The ERP was rejecting orders due to pricing mismatches. I will get to the point in a bit. Easily fixed though, but it gets worse. Out of the corner of his eye, Bob spots his boss heading in his direction with the presence of someone about to miss a departing train. Bob, we've got a problem. Why are we selling this product for £1 when our cost price is £2? It turns out in Bob's company, SKUs were few and far between. Price Monkey, with all of its intelligence, scoured the internet for matchable products. In their case, being a fastener supplier, it matched them with a bag of walnuts. It was at that point Price Monkey was removed. Things went back to the way we were before. Susan rejoiced, and AI was put on the back burner. Now, this is an absolute extreme case. As I said earlier on, it is a lot of what we are seeing. We do see a lot of these mistakes made over and over again. Very much e-commerce, faulty towers just played out. I know some of you are smiling. So where do we think the failure was here? Was it doomed from the beginning? Was Price Monkey to blame? The answer is pretty much every single stage. So let's break these down. Firstly, as leaders, we don't need to use AI. A leader myself, I feel the pressure everyone is under at the moment to hold it together. When we feel that feeling that we're falling further and further behind. At the beginning, we saw that 90% number. The reality is that most of these are failing in some part. And the key word there is need. AI should never be the first step or a requirement. To put that on ourselves or our teams is setting us up for failure. Bob had that relentless pressure, which ultimately caused him to make some rash decisions. Focus on what matters. We want to increase sales. We want to drive efficiency. We want to improve customer service. For those of you on the receiving end of that pressure, be courageous and ask why. Why do we need to use AI? Okay. AI tools are definitely not the starting block to success, and this follows on from the last slide. So with or without the pressure with AI, it's easy to be drawn into these tools. The latest tool that catches your attention in e-commerce, there's a lot around content, imagery, customer service, inventory tools popping up, and some of these really are fantastic. Many of them are not. Many of them are wrappers for ChatGPT, and the chances are that by the time you've gone through that process of implementation, the goalposts are going to have moved. For us internally at Sherwen, we can run through 5 or 10 tools. There might be 1 or 2 that we decide to take further. Figure out where your problems are, where can things be improved, seek the solutions to that, and then is AI a tool within that solution? Then great. Culture. Now, I think compared to the headlines today, I sound quite reserved. In effect, take a step back and look at the bigger picture. the reality is we are in the biggest technological wave we've ever seen in our lifetime. The way your customers interact with your brand, the way you operate as a business, even events like this today are going to look very different in the future, whether that's a year, 2 years, 5 years. Such technological change is a cultural change. And I say for that reason today, your people are far more of a contributing factor to the success of your AI adoption than the technology itself. Involve everyone, create champions within the business, go on the journey together. If Bob had brought Susan along at the beginning, then they'd have captured challenge early and hopefully lived happily ever after. If you're in e-commerce or retail in general, I think we've had nightmares about data for years. Product descriptions that aren't customer friendly or discoverable, variant names that read like a machine, pricing that was right but yesterday. How can we expect a machine to give a desired outcome when we give it incorrect information? For Bob, we weren't specific, which resulted in Price Monkey taking a guess with unfortunate circumstances. And then lastly, we have infrastructure. For Bob, AI touched Shopify, but as the infrastructure wasn't in place to feed that back into the business, as your AI adoption grows, you're going to need to feed it more and more. For us as humans, we're exposed to so many different pieces of data, so many different scenarios. Without feeding that to AI, you can't expect a human level outcome. If in retail or e-commerce, you've already explored composable, Mac, etc., you will generally infrastructure-wise be on your way. Okay. Now, each and every one of these areas is potentially a key area, a talk itself. I hope it's given something to think about. So I want to ask a really important question now. Is this new? Is these challenges that we've gone through so far new? Now, earlier I said that AI is going to change how your customers interact, how they event today, etc. But your AI adoption journey at the moment is no dissimilar to digital transformation that came before it. The leadership, the tools, the culture, the data, the infrastructure, they've all been challenges you've overcome in the past. It's so easy to get absorbed in the hype and the tools and the panic that quite often we forget how to do it. All of the tools and technology are different, but the journey is not. So where do you go from here? I think for some of you today, the talk probably mirrors some of your own journeys. For some of you, it's probably nothing new. But what can we do next to improve your chances of success? Okay. So firstly, start small. Rome wasn't built in the day. For every aspect of your early AI project, keep it small. The problem, the team, the use case, the investment, the outcomes. I'm a big advocate of many small improvements rather than one big bang. It's something that's worked very well for our clients. We have retail clients where we are releasing multiple features every single week rather than 6-12-month programs. In the case of AI, you're chasing a continuous moving target. The tools, the models, the knowledge. If you embark on a project now, say 6 months, 12 months, by the time you've finished, it's out of date. Keeping it small is risk averse, and it's going to compound and accelerate that progress. Secondly, the people, which we touched on earlier, they've always been your biggest asset. Start the culture shift towards AI adoption now. That doesn't have to be part of a project or an implementation. Turn that skepticism and fear some of you are facing into excitement and energy. We obviously operate on the fringes or within the creative industry. Take some inspiration from that. Run workshops, hackathons, encourage experimentation and failure. Most importantly, give your teams the tools and the freedom to learn. It's exactly what we've done at Sherwen this year. Some of you may have seen on LinkedIn, but we run weekly knowledge workshops on AI within the team. That's usually led by our head of experience, who is here today. But we always have a contributing member of the team who will bring their experimentations, their learnings to those discussions. We gave them all the tools to do that. We gave them the freedom. Now, for me as a business owner, obviously I have to watch the bottom line as well, and that is scary. But something really magical happened in that we had a quarter where the sole goal was to increase our AI adoption internally and let them experiment. We had no target for revenue or an end goal. But what we actually found was these teams naturally saved so much time and improved their process. We had 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% improvement on some of our internal operations just by them experimenting without actually direction, which was fantastic, and happy to talk about that afterwards. Alongside culture, choosing that use case is vitally important. Again, as before, forget the tools, the models, the gurus for a second. Search for that meaningful use case. We work with our clients a lot on this, and it's a very, very in-depth topic, but I would really look for either an industry or role or a specific task and drill down from there. What are the challenges and problems within those? Is it pricing? Is it sourcing good product images? Is it an influx of customer queries that are hindering your brand's ability to respond? Then think about the solution. Is it the platform, the people, the data? And then only then is AI a value add. And that's really important. As before, never start with the AI. Okay. And then lastly, didn't really want to put this slide in for obvious reasons. It could be seen as being a bit biased, but when researching last week for the talk today, it's something that came up in a lot of the reports. So external partnerships generally at the moment, from what I've read, are doubling or tripling the rate of success. And I guess it's the same as before. You're also so busy with your day-to-day responsibilities that having a partner is going to bring that knowledge, that been there, done that, knowing what to expect scenarios, and the technical skill as well. So, just to summarize the key takeaways, start small, the problem, the team, the use case, the investment, the target outcomes. Power with culture, turn that fear into energy and give them the freedom to learn. Choose the right use case. Start with a task, a role, or your industry. Task if possible. Expert advice, wider perspective. Seeking guidance is not going to be your failure. Okay. Now, just as a closing thought, AI has undoubtedly changed in the way we all do business and go about our day-to-day. We've got the initial fear, we've got the skepticism. From that comes the excitement. Sensory overload of all those possibilities comes clarity. And by remembering the basics and setting the foundations we've discussed today, I'm confident you'll all have success. Okay. That's it. Okay. So on the left there, would love to connect with some of you on LinkedIn. We also have a AI readiness tool, which is totally free. If you want to give that a whirl as well. We are here today as well, just down that corridor there. So feel free to stop by. Thank you.